Welcome back to Game-Based Learning in the World Language Classroom, the why, what, and how. We're on section 3 of my book, The How. I'm Madame Sensei. I teach Spanish, French, Japanese, and English to high schoolers out here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. Please work with me on these huge ideas. Talk to me at the Minecraft Education Ambassadors or the Minecraft Teachers Lounge, Duolingo Educators Network, RockSem, or studio-nemo.com. We're on chapter 26 of my book, Project-Based Learning. And again, I'm including this in a book about game-based learning because a project done right is fun. It feels like a game, okay? It's part of making your class an exciting, gamified place where the students are 100% engaged. So in the previous episodes, we've been talking about all the logistics, all the planning that you have to do beforehand. The heavy lifting is really the thinking that goes on before. And it does take a lot of thinking. It's not just something you can slap together and expect to be successful at. You got to think about it a lot, and you got to prepare your students. You have to carve out time during the class time to prepare your students to be successful in the project. Okay, so now we're going to talk about role play as a project, because role play is application of the skills, and for us it's a project because you're getting them to practice using the vocabulary and the grammar and the language and the culture that you've been teaching them. Okay, a role play is totally different than a skit. Okay, a skit is memorized and it has lines written out that have to go in a set order. A role play is more organic, and yeah, you can do mini role plays beforehand, but I find that they're not as successful as when I build them up as if they're a big project. Okay, so I give the students the scenario at least a day in advance, but generally for me, it's 2 weeks in advance. Hey guys, we're going to play store next week. So this is what you need to be successful. Who's going to be the cashiers? Who's going to be the customers? Okay, at what point are we going to switch who the cashiers and the customers are? What are we going to be selling at our store? What are the prices and all that? And then working on, this is what you need to be able to do in a store, and this is the culture, and we'll talk about the culture in a second. Okay, so here's my store stuff, all right? You need to decide, when I'm working on school supplies, which is like the first week of school, hey, let's play store with the school supplies. You know your numbers now, you know your school supplies, you know your colors. Let's play store with that, okay? You can use Monopoly money, you can use bingo chips. I photocopied a lot of euros, and I've got my counterfeit money, which looks really good. Okay, I've got a lot of plastic food that I've collected over the years from being a mother to 5 children and also just going down to the dollar store. Got a lot of plastic food. My mother, I told you, is an actual shopaholic. She sends a lot of ugly clothes that she thinks is beautiful, but is actually really ugly, and I save it for my class because I think it's funny to watch the students dressing up in it or playing store trying to buy the sequin dress or whatever. Okay, there's a lot of good stuff you can do, but you also need to teach the culture so that students can play sales associate properly, because in a store in the middle of Paris, the salesperson is going to be standing there scowling at you until you say bonjour, because if the customer doesn't say bonjour, the sales associate is not going to waste their time on the customer. In Japan, you've got greeters at the door because the customer is always right. The customer is king, and you've got to make sure that the customer has a good experience in your store. So that culture is huge, and that's why role play is so much fun. Job interview. Okay, I started doing this in my Spanish classes because, like I said, I'm one of 4 Spanish teachers in the district. I'm the only French teacher. I'm the only Japanese teacher. I can do whatever the heck I feel like. But for Spanish, we all have to march lockstep following our textbook. And our textbook has a lot of I statements. I like this. I have math in 3rd period, and all that. And I thought, okay, how am I going to do a project with that? I decided we're going to have a job interview. And it's so easy that every month we add a couple of sentences to the job interview, and the students know all the sentences that they need to know to go on to Spanish 2 and Spanish 3 and Spanish 4. Okay, so it just works out really great. Sometimes it's not a job interview. Sometimes it's a TV personality is interviewing you. Sometimes it's a sports interview. However I can weave it in, or however the students are it's resonating better with the students. But it's always a lot of fun. Okay, this is the big one. This one is the most logistically difficult because you need some supplies, and I'm a poor teacher, and supplies are difficult. But like I said, there's ways to do this. But opening a restaurant is like so much fun. It is so great, and if you have the students make stuff at home, like, hey, I don't care what you bring, but make sure it's authentic French. Then they're researching a recipe on their own, and I give them, we work through some easy recipes in class, and then the students can bring the food on the big day, and it's not that big of a deal. They feel like it's a classroom party, but really it's a test. Okay. When we're making crepes or tortillas, or here we made onabe. I used my rice cookers, and I showed the students how to make onabe in it. But that's a little more involved, but it's really worth it. And everyone, they think, like I said, they think it's a class party, but it's not. Okay. But here's a simple recipe that we worked through, and so some of the students chose to make that. All right. But you talk about your authentic foods during class. If I'm having the students cook, then I've got rice cookers. I've got I told you I've got a quesadilla maker that it's really, you're supposed to put the 2 tortillas in and some cheese in and close it, but I use that for everything. I can use that for croque monsieur. I can use that for I've used it for omelette sudaisu. I've used it for everything. Okay. It's great for okonomiyaki too. So yeah, again, have your students decide in advance who's going to be the waiters, who's going to be the customers, and then remember to switch off so that the waiters get to eat. But oh my gosh, my students love it so much. He came all decked out. This picture I love because two of the students in this picture are really, really struggling students. They just have difficulty in all their classes, and you can see how immensely happy they are here. I'm not going to tell you which two students, but I just love seeing the smiles on their faces. It's great. Okay, and then it doesn't have to be all that involved. For this one, I teach my students how to eat cheese properly. You are not pigs who are taking your butter knife and spreading the cheese on the bread like as if you're buttering it. No, there's a proper way to eat cheese. So all I had to do was I had to ask my PTSA for some money so that I could go down to the restaurant supply store and buy these giant wheels of brie. And I like to bake, so I made some loaves of French bread myself, so it's even more delicious. And I just taught them how to eat cheese, and it was just great. So let me help you brainstorm for making food, because it doesn't have to be all that difficult. All right. Yes, I do crepes with my French class. I cannot imagine a French class without crepes, but they are involved in that I have to buy. They're probably the most expensive thing I make because eggs are expensive. Okay. So I have to figure out how many eggs I need, how many gallons of milk, and how much flour. And restaurant supply store has 50-pound bags of flour for $15. So that keeps us in a lot because I can use that same flour for tortillas when I teach my students how to make tortillas. All right, but crepes are not difficult to make. They are easy to make. It's just like I have to go down to the store and buy some stuff, and then I have to drag it into my classroom. That's the hard part. Okay. Croque monsieur are very easy to make, and like I said, I've got quesadilla makers, so I just press them in there, or I've got a panini press. But you don't have to spend a lot of money. Go down to the Goodwill and find what's on the shelf there. Okay. La poutine is great. Des omelettes. Obviously easy to do on all. If I've already bought the skillets for des crepes, I can use them for des omelettes, right? Tortillas. My colleague doesn't want to make tortillas from scratch. Okay, like I said, I'm one of 4 Spanish teachers. He does a taco bar. Taco bar is great. That's fabulous. It's really easy. You just have the students bring in the food and have them cut it up, and then you make your taco bar. Okay, and he's got his microwave if they want to microwave the tortillas. Okay, I teach my students how to make tortillas from scratch because they're actually very, very easy to make. The only reason they take a long time is because if you make them out of wheat flour, you've got to let them rest for 20 minutes. And we're on a block schedule, so it's okay, but we're talking about going to regular 6-period days. So I may have to have TV show magic where I've secretly mixed up some dough beforehand that's been resting while the students mix up, and then they don't have to wait the 20 minutes, okay? Out of corn flour, masa harina, oh my gosh, it's instantaneous. You can easily do that in a half an hour class, okay? Depending on how many students you have, depending on how many skillets you have. That's really the slow thing when making crepes and making tortillas is I have table groups of 6 students per table. So the 6 of them working together is pretty good. They can get through as many crepes as they want to eat, as many tortillas as they want to eat in the time allotted. But if you only can afford 2 skillets and you've got students waiting, that's going to affect how long it takes them to cook. Okay. Miso shiro, super easy to make, absolutely super easy to make. And you can do it in your rice cookers or in crock pots. Okay. So it's not very difficult. I'm on carpet. Okay. I'm out in a portable on carpet. And this is all stuff I do out there. Sukiyaki, very easy to make. Okonomiyaki, very easily to make in the quesadilla maker. I do them in quesadilla makers. It's fun that way. Okay. Omelette raisu also in quesadilla makers. Scattered sushi, chirashi sushi. This is the easiest because you don't have to roll it. Okay, you got to teach the students how to fan the rice, and add the ingredients, and it tastes just like sushi. It's delicious, but you don't have to teach the students how to roll it out. It's much easier, and their hands don't get all sticky because I'm far away from the sinks. Huevos rancheros are pretty easy. I told you about taco bar. Just making salsa. Pretty easy. You can do that on carpet. Churros are very easy. You'll need a skillet to heat up everything, but then you can make those in the quesadilla press. That's easy. Rice, just my very first year, I was like, I need to teach my students how to use chopsticks. I can't imagine out of it. So I have the rice cookers. And I just taught them. We had gohan, we had furikake. That was our meal. That's super easy to do. Onigiri, you're gonna need to be near water, maybe near sinks, or maybe just have buckets of water for your students to stick their hands in. But that's really easy. You've got your rice. You got your wet hands, you're pressing the rice into a shape. And I just realized I'm pressing my hands, but you can't see my hands because I didn't turn on my camera. Mochi. Mochi is easy also. You can do it in a microwave. It's better in the oven, but you can do it in a microwave. Okay. Onabe. I think I showed you a picture of me. I just used my rice cooker. And I just made the onabe in the rice cooker, and I'd close the lid, and every 10 minutes I'd open it, and I'd take things out, and I'd put new things in, and close the lid again. Ramen. Oh my gosh, ramen, of course it's easy to make, okay, because it's all pre-made, but there's so much interesting culture you can talk about with ramen. How did it develop? Oh, you talk about how important the concept of time is to the Japanese. And you can take them on like a virtual tour of the ramen museum. And you can talk about all the different flavors and everything. And you can talk about how it came to America and the combination of styrofoam cups and these pre-made noodles. And you've got to talk about World War II and everything. I mean, there's so much stuff you can talk about with ramen. And you can teach your students how to use hashi. So it doesn't have to be that difficult, okay? It can be involved, like with crepes and with tortillas, but everything else can be just very simple. Okay, so I know I don't have many pictures in this one because I've got a lot of things to say. But at the thrift store, oh my gosh, I'm at 14 minutes. I'm going to just power through this one, okay? Went to the thrift store and I bought rice cookers, okay? They were like $5 a piece. Quesadilla maker, okay? And like I said, use the quesadilla maker for anything that can be cooked. Churros, omelette raisu, okonomiyaki, croque monsieur, whatever can be cooked in a quesadilla maker. Okay. I have a fondue pot. I haven't used it yet, but I did buy it at the thrift store. Crock pot will keep your soups hot. I bought a lot of crepes skillets. I bought these new. Okay. I just saved up my money. Every year I added more. So now I've got 6 total. I actually have 7 total now, but I bought these new and I use them for tortillas also, and I use them for lots of stuff. Tortilla presses I had to buy. Those are the little metal things that you press together to make the tortillas nice and flat, but I also have rolling pins. I got measuring cups. Microwave came with the room. Didn't have to buy it, thank goodness. Electrical extension cords, I usually have to replace them every few years. And I have lots of giant buckets because I have to tote extra water to my portable so that I can make sure that things are getting cleaned and not messy. Oh, I have the students tote the buckets, okay? Sorry, this is way over 10 minutes. Okay, it's so nice to have parents and guardians come in to help supervise and carry stuff back and forth to the staff lounge. And my parents always volunteer to clean things at the end of the day, which is super helpful for me. Okay, so invite the parents. Invite the parents. Tell your colleagues to come and see what you're doing. And they can have a clape. They can have the students love to show off for them. It's like, oh, my favorite science teacher is here. I'm going to feed them. Okay, teach your colleagues how to use chopsticks. A lot of times they don't know how to use them yet. And then before the big day, tell the custodians. Get extra paper towels. Make sure the custodians know what you're doing. Okay, but super fun. All right, I'm going to pause here because I'm at 16 minutes. See you on the next one.